So hey guys, it's me Dawson from Decoder. So in this session I'll be explaining you on how to handle your first paycheck, that is when you get paid by a company. So a paycheck is also specified as a paycheck or a paycheck or a paycheck is traditionally a paper document that is issued by an employer to pay an employee for the services rendered. So in recent times, the physical paycheck has been increasingly replaced by electronic direct deposits to the employee designated bank account and loaded on a payroll card. Employees may still receive a payslip to detail the circulations of the final payment amount. A salary statement, commonly called as a payslip, pay stub, pay stub, or pay advice, or sometimes paycheck stub or wage slip, is a document that an employee receives. Either includes a notice that the direct deposit transaction has gone through or that is attached to a paycheck. Each country has laws to which it must be included in the pay slip, but this typically includes the details such as the gross wages for the pay period and the taxes and other deductions which the employer is required to make by the law, and other personal deductions such as retirement plan or pension contributions, insurances, garnishments, or charitable contributions taken out of the gross amount to arrive at the final net amount of the pay, and also including the year to date total in some circumstances. So what happens is the paycheck is kind of a salary statement. So yeah, it is used for retirement planning or pension contribution, insurance. Yeah, so it includes all the pays such as the gross pay and all those stuff. So getting your first paycheck, your first job will be quite exciting. I was very quite excited when I got my first paycheck, to be honest. In when I was just 19 years old, I feel. Yeah, when I was 18 years old itself, I started working. Currently, I'm 19 years old. I'll be 20 this January, to be honest. I think, yeah, when I was age of 18 only, I got my first paycheck. So yeah, getting it first is very exciting. To be honest, you worked very hard for it, and after all, you earned it. And while the first thing you might want to do is treat yourself with all the hard work, you might be a bit smarter about what do you do with it. So if you're a recent graduate student or new to a working life, many questions will run through your mind. Am I budgeting the right way? What should I do with this money? Can this be overwhelming to decide what to do and how to properly manage it? So first check your paycheck. Before you do anything else, make sure your paycheck is accurate and then calculate your final amount. Here's a breakdown on what's on your paycheck. So total gross is there. Total gross in the sense the total money you earn based on your salary per hour and how much you have worked for. The total net. So the total net is the amount of money you earned after you pay after your taxes and deductions. Basically, what will actually go down to your bank account. So ours is you're either an hourly paid employee or a monthly paid employee. It will either say how many hours you have worked, your set monthly pay. Deductions, what has been taken out of your paycheck, such as taxes, insurance, and more. So there are deductions also. So mostly what they say is put 10% more on savings. My general thumb rule is 50-30 rule, which most of the people might use. That is 50% whatever is there, it will be needs, and this thing 20% you can put it as your wants, and 30% you can start saving, or else you can reverse it. It depends completely on you how much you're earning, to be honest. So put 10% in savings account right now. So if you do this from your first paycheck on, it won't be painful at all. It's best if you can set up so it can be automatically transferred for every payday. This is especially important if you are having lots of student loans or other debts. So if you are having loans or debts, this is the best method to do. The money keeps you from becoming totally destitute should you lose your job. Having a savings account gives you the power. When you have the financial freedom, that is when you get financial freedom in the sense your passive income, that is your income which you are not generating via work, which is being done overnight. When it exceeds the active income, then you can tell yourself that you have got financial freedom. So when you have financial freedom, you can be confident on your salary negotiations. So next is pay your bills. If you are having a lot of debt, you are strongly recommended to follow a strict budget and to snowballing your debt. That means you have to pay the minimum due on everything, but on but one bill and one pay and maximum you can on that one. When you pay the next one off, take the money you used on that pay and apply to it your next one. The effect is like the snowball that builds over time, and you can pay your debts rapidly. Most importantly, don't go into any more debt during this time. So live within your means. When you are having a new paycheck, it's tempting to just spend. So this is the general temptation among the teenagers or among anybody who get the first pay, that they'll take a loan or a EMI, like to buy a new smartphone, which which the cost of it might be more than three times than that of your pay. So that is general tendency among teenagers and among young adolescents, to be honest. So because yeah, so don't do this, to be honest. Budget carefully and plan for your future. So you need to plan for your future. You can still afford to compete with those people whose parents are subsidizing them. Remember, whoever holds the purse has the power. So it's important that whenever you get money, you need to know on what you're spending it on, and you need to really tightly manage your income, income and expenses. My general formula would be like income minus savings will be expenses. So generally what people will do is income minus expenses will be savings. But the general rule, but my rule of follow which I follow is income minus savings is equal to expenses. Why? Because first you save, or else what will happen when you try to spend, last thing with savings nothing will remain. So that is the reason. So next is allocate your budget as per 50-30-50-30-20 rule. So this why this I was speaking about just a little while back. So the 50-30-20 rule of the thumb is very is a way to allocate your budget according to these categories, that is needs, wants and financial goals. It is not about a hard and fast rule, like it completely depends upon your risk appetite also, but rather it's a rough guideline to help you to build a financially sound budget. So the 50-30 rule of the thumb is the guideline for allocating your budgets accordingly: 50% to needs, 30% to wants and 20% of the financial goals. So 50% is your needs, like your daily, might be your bills, might be your food expenses, or might be anything which you need, which you need, require, like your clothing, shelter or whatever, kana pina and all those stuff. 30% can be your wants, such as maybe this thing, maybe a stylish phone, or maybe one expensive treat which you want to give yourself. And 20% for your financial goals, maybe you can invest in mutual funds or in golds or in stocks or in cryptos. If your risk appetite is very high, I wouldn't recommend to join the cryptocurrency market for those who are completely not aware. But those who are aware, they can join the cryptocurrency market also. It was popularized by the Elizabeth Warren and her daughter Amelia Warren Tyagi. So yeah, it was popularized. So this was the general rule. This is a general rule which many people follow. So a percentage may need to be adjusted based on your personal circumstances. It's only a rule on how to plan your budget. It doesn't actually track your budget for you. So using 50-30-20 rule of thumb, you can allocate after tax income to the following categories: 50% to the needs. Needs are what you can't live without, or at least very easily. They include rent, groceries, utilities such as electricity, water and sewer. 30% is wants. The wants are what you desire but actually don't need to survive. They may include hobbies or vacations, dining out, digital and streaming such as Netflix and Hulu. 20% can be your financial goals, that is savings such as retirement contributions, saving for a house, debt payments. So the 50-30-20 rule, budgeting rule, states that having a budget can be essentially healthy for a financial future. But how do you get started? So 50% is essential, such as housing. Here you can see, let me just take it, take it a point. Let me see here. It can be housing, grocery, utility bills, transportation, insurance. 30% can be a fun packet like entertainment, maybe shopping, maybe dining out, maybe giving it a charity gift, maybe hobbies. And 20% is a financial growth, that is retirement saving and long-term deposits. So this thing, so here you can see there is 50%, there is 30%, and there is 20%. So like this you can make your goal. So most people save too little and unknowingly spend too much. The 50-30-20 rule of thumb is the way to be aware of your financial habits and limit overspending and undersaving. By spending less on the things that don't matter to you, you can save more on the things that do. Calculate your monthly income. Add how much you receive in your bank account each month. If you have a workplace retirement plan, find how much is withheld and add that account back to your take home pay. If you pay an estimated taxes, reduce your monthly income accordingly. Calculate by spending threshold for each category. Multiply your take home pay by 0.5 for needs, 0.3 for needs, and 2.2, that is 50%, 30%, and 20%, to see how much you can. Then plan your budget around these numbers, that is think of these categories such as buckets which you can fill with monthly expenses. List and tally your monthly expenses under the category which falls, and see if you are spending less than the monthly targets you are establishing at prior step. Follow your budget, track your expenses each month, and make changes when needed to stick with your savings threshold and going forward. So why does the 50-30-20 rule of thumb generally works? It is a potential for gray areas. It's sometimes hard to sort out your spending, and accordingly to the three categories, everyone needs to eat. For example, buy some groceries fall into the wants category, such as sugar, sodas, and unhealthy snacks. This is the general tendency among today's teenagers to eat unhealthy snacks, but in my opinion, it's better to eat healthy snacks, to be honest. Can be difficult for low income people. If your earning is just enough to make your ends meet, maybe you struggle to save 20% of your income regardless of how you live, especially if you're supporting a family. Saving might not be enough. On the flip side, if you're having big goals such as retirement early or buying a house on a higher income area, 20% may not be enough. You still need to track your budget. The 50-30 rule is only a piece of the budgeting price puzzle. It's a good shoot for these percentages, but unless you track your spendings, you will never know if you are actually hitting them. So the 50-30-20 rule doesn't specify on how much each paycheck you should spend. The percentage of a paycheck that you spend largely depends upon the 20% of the financial goal category. If your main financial goal is to reduce debt, you will be spending more on your paycheck on that. If your main financial goal is to save up an emergency fund, then you'll be saving more on your paycheck. So it isn't what you earn, but isn't what you spend that fixes your class. So this is a quote by Sinclair Lewis. And don't tell me what you value, show me your budget and I'll tell you what you value. That is by Joe Biden, who is currently the US president, and he was the former vice president during Obama's era. So thank you guys, and a huge shout out to Vaishnavi from finance department for making a video. And as usual guys, like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want, but as usual, never stop learning. Thank you very much guys.